Today, you are finally going to discover how fat actually accumulates on our bodies and how we ended up in this situation as a society in the first place. Hi, my name is David Oliva of the Body Lab, and thank you for clicking on this video. Today, you're actually going to learn that this is reversible in all of us, all humans, and we're going to show examples of what modern humans actually should and can look like today. Okay, let's jump right in. All right, so what are we looking at here? We have New York City today versus, people of the 1930s. How did we get this way in the first place? How did we go from nice, healthy people from the 1930s to overweight, obese, sick people today? And you might be thinking, well, maybe the people in the 1930s were more active than us, or maybe nowadays, there's just more junk food, and there's preservatives and toxins and all kinds of stuff in the food, and that's what did it. I asked that same question. How did we end up the way we are today? So I started doing all this research looking at different countries, different years, and different foods that, countries are allowing into their food supply. And I must have did about 100 hours worth of research. So what I concluded was that for us, I'm from the United States. In the United States, it was about the 1940s. That's when we actually began to start getting overweight and unhealthy. So I wanted to see what people looked like prior to that. I wanted to look at the 1930s. So I did a quick Google search, and luckily there was video footage from the 1930s. Now, luckily we had cameras and video recording equipment, and somebody actually recorded that spot where all the people were walking by. So when you're looking at this, and what I really want to drive home here is that those people from the 1930s, they are what modern humans look like. That's what we're supposed to look like. Okay, let's take a closer look. Now, whether you're watching this video or you actually go out to your local supermarket, you're going to see that at least half the people are either overweight or obese. Now, let's compare and contrast that to the video of the people of the 1930s. One of the things that stuck out to me from the very first time watching that video, and I've watched this like dozens of times, and we'll leave a link below for you in case you want to watch it yourself, but as you're watching this video and you're watching the people walk by, there's no obese people. There's very few even overweight people. In fact, if you wanted to see somebody that weighed 300 pounds back in the 1930s, well, I left a little clip at the end of the video just so you could see just how few 300-pound people there were back then, and the lengths you'd have to go to see somebody that weighed 300 pounds or more. Okay, now let's talk about how fat is made in our body, and it varies greatly in people. But let's just consider how the fat accumulates. All right, now first off, this is really heavy biochemistry and molecular biology. Again, there's a lot of terminology here, but just to keep it simple, let's just focus on one today. And this is called de novo lipogenesis. Lipo, fat, genesis, the creation of. So we're talking about the creation of body fat. One is how well your body is at burning fat. And the second is the rate at which your body is making the fat. So let's take two different scenarios. Like if your body is really good at burning fat, but it's also making fat at a really high rate, you're not getting anywhere. Now, when we think of fat and carbohydrates, instead of looking at them just as calories, let's consider this. Think of them acting more like signals. Let's just take sugar and carbohydrate, for example. When we eat sugar or carbohydrates, our body senses our blood sugar starting to rise, our body secretes insulin, and that insulin acts like a signal telling our cells, hey, burn up this excess sugar. Now, when we're talking about fat production, okay, these substances that we eat act like signals and tell our body to make body fat. It starts cranking up the lipogenesis. Yeah, using our new word there. Okay. So now think about it. When we eat carbs, you're eating carbs like all day long. So you keep signaling your body, hey, burn sugar, burn sugar, burn sugar. And at the same time, you're eating these same substances that are telling your body, hey, store all these calories as fat, store all these calories as fat, over and over and over again. Now, the burning of fat is pretty straightforward. With our clients, we give them a body composition scale to step on. And what it does is it not only measures your weight, it measures how much of your body's lean muscle tissue and how much body fat your body is currently carrying. From there, we put you on the metabolic analyzer and we measure your metabolism at rest. Now, this will tell us how many calories a day your body can burn at rest, but not only just how many calories, it tells us what type of those calories we're burning. Like it'll tell us what percentage of your calories is fat and what percentage of your calories you're burning is carbohydrate. So what we do is we gather all this information and we start adjusting your macros, and we really teach you and coach you how to train your body to burn the maximum amount of fat it can at rest. Then we put you on a treadmill, hook you up to the analyzer, and again, same thing. It'll measure the rate at which you're burning calories during the exercise, so we can find at what heart rate, at what intensity you need to be at to be burning the maximum amount of fat your body's capable of burning. So we coach you to train your body to burn as much fat as it possibly can. Now that's great and all, but even if you're burning fat like a fat burning machine, you're cranking it, you're burning it like crazy, there's still the rate at which your body is making the fat. That's the other side of the equation. Okay, let's just do a quick recap. Again, there's the rate at which our bodies are making fat, and there's the rate at which our bodies are burning the fat. It's not just about a surplus of calories. It's not even about the type of calories. It's the fact that there's certain substances in our food supply across the entire world that's, when we eat them, it's signaling our bodies to make fat, make more fat, and keep making more fat. Okay, so why do modern humans carry so much body fat? Well, after combing through all this data, two substances stand out as the main culprit for why we accumulate all this body fat. One is a carbohydrate, a sugar, and it's fructose. The other is an omega-9 monounsaturated fat, chemical name octadec9 enoic acid. Okay, let's touch a little bit on these substances, these two substances. Okay, one of them is found mostly in cooking oils. Not all cooking oils, but most cooking oils. And anything that's been cooked with these cooking oils or used in a recipe. Okay, we eat these oils, they get digested in our stomach, they travel through our blood, and they're heading to the cells that need the fuel to make the energy. Now what happens is these substances in the fat, it doesn't burn well, so it kind of gets clogged up into the pores of the cell membrane, it's called. And that kind of blocks some of the oxygen coming into the cell that we need for metabolism. So that's not good right there. But more importantly, these fats, these substances, they start signaling enzymes in our body that are involved in fat production. These substances turn on the lipogenic enzymes that make fat. So now the problem is these enzymes, they stay elevated for a while. So if you eat these foods, it elevates the fat-producing enzymes. They stay elevated for a while. The next thing you know, you're eating another meal that has these fats, and they get upregulated even higher, and they get turned on so much that even the next day, they're still elevated, all right? That's problem number one with substance number one. Now, substance number two, okay, we all know that sugar is bad, but what you may not know is that sugar, table sugar that's found in most of the foods we eat, sugar contains two molecules. One molecule of glucose, and glucose is made by our body. Our bodies can make glucose for us to produce energy. The other half of the sugar molecule is called fructose. And fructose is not the primary fuel that our body runs on. And it's not good for us. Even though it's found in a lot of natural foods, fructose, what it actually does is that it kills the mitochondria. The mitochondria are the part of the cells that take the fuel and make the energy. So that's just not, you can see that's not good. It's literally killing the part of us that turns the fuel into energy. So it's like a 1-2 punch. One, you got the fat coming in, upregulating all these fat producing enzymes in our body so they stay elevated. And then two, the fructose is killing the part of the cells that's burning the fuel. So there's the 1-2 punch. Now, you could consume another type of fat that doesn't have these substances that turn on the lipogenic enzymes. So you can literally eat the same amount of calories and not have that effect. So certain fats turn on the fat-making machinery to make more fat with the calories you're consuming, and some fats just don't. They just are calories, and our body needs the calories anyways. Now, these substances weren't really in our food supply back in the 1930s. I mean, they were there, don't get me wrong, but they weren't like nowadays. Nowadays, these substances are in just about everything we eat. So it's like, even if you knew what they were, they're hard to avoid, right? So earlier in this video, I said this is reversible. So how do we get this stuff out of our bodies? Once you identify what these substances are in your food supply, you get them out of your diet. And after about 4 months, you can get another blood sample, retest, and see that these levels are now dropping in your body. And as they drop, your body's fat production will also drop. All right, so you can actually get started today. I'm going to need you to go into the cupboards. Now, these are going to be mainly cooking oils, but you're also going to have to look at the ingredients on the foods that you purchased. Okay, so anything that says canola oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, vegetable oil, any of those oils, they got to go. Now, once you start getting these out of the house and out of your food supply and out of you, again, your body will start producing less body fat, and it'll be easier for you to drop body fat, and you'll begin to look more and more like the people from the 1930s. Okay, this was just an overview. It was just to introduce you to the fact that this is not just a problem of a surplus of calories. It's not even a problem of the wrong type of calories, like too much sugar. This is about specific nutrients that are in our food supply, affecting our entire population, that we are consuming since birth, that accumulates in our system, and it just keeps up-regulating the amount of fat our bodies produce. So just like this affected the entire population, we should be able to reverse this and affect our whole entire population, but for our benefit. And again, I included a link to the video of the people from the 1930s, so you can really watch it and just see that there are no obese people in that video. Very few overweight people. And also stick around to the end so you can see about the 300-pound person. Our next episode, we'll cover and go into a little bit more detail about these substances that are actually causing the problem. Thank you for tuning in. God bless, and we'll catch you next time.